before you guys hate this video, make sure you give it a listen, okay? Like, properly listen to it. Don't just dislike him because, oh, it's Lance Stroll, okay? Actually, give it a listen and, yeah, go from there. What's up, everybody? My name is Grim. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're going to be debunking all you guys' hate on, of course, Lance Stroll.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, Daniel.
Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Grim. If you guys haven't been here before, make sure you check out the channel after this video while I'm debunking all of y'all that actually can't stand Stroll and yeah, have a lot of hate against him for whatever reason, okay? I think it's a jealousy thing, but anyway, it is what it is. Anyway, so first of all, I want to say this. Lance is probably one of my favorite drivers on the grid, and I've always liked him since he joined Formula One way back then. Now, I will say this, Lance does get me, for some reason, a lot of views and a lot of interaction. A lot of people don't like Lance. I'm going to prove to you guys why he isn't as bad as what people say. What I will admit is in 2023, Lance did not have the best season ever. Was it worthy enough to be kicked out of Formula One? Potentially, but he was against, of course, Fernando Alonso. Stoffel Van Dorn is an example of someone going against Alonso. He lasted 2 years and obviously got kicked out of the sport. Listen, Lance has to have a good 2024. I do agree. But let's go through Lance's stats and go through questions that you guys have and opinions that you guys have on Lance. And I'll prove to you guys why he isn't that bad and why he is deserving of a seat in Formula One. So I'm going to debunk all the hate. I'm over this, okay? I'm over this. And like I said, if you guys are new here, I do make half-scale helmet videos where I look at the mini helmets and I do review those and talk about driver signatures, meeting drivers, and stuff like that. Also, follow me on Instagram. All right, got my notepad out. So, questions to debunk. Lance Stroll had money to buy his way into Formula One. Now, of course, money is a massive thing when it comes to motorsport. Yes, I do agree. Is Lance Stroll's father a billionaire? Lawrence? Yes, he is. And he has the money to afford and to back up his son in junior categories and, of course, in Formula One. But first thing I'll say is that Lance Stroll can't control where he's born, okay? He can't control that. And to get into Formula One, you have to be exceptional. Now, people are going to say, he's not exceptional. Yes, he is. Yes, he is, okay? He's exceptional. There's 20 drivers in the world. He was deserving of a seat looking at his junior category, which we will get into very shortly. But my argument for that is Lance Stroll can't control where he was born. And there is examples of other drivers who pretty much paid their way into Formula One through sponsorships. People like to ignore the fact that that actually has happened. And out of all the paying drivers that have ever entered Formula One, Lance has been there the longest with over 150 race starts. People will say that, oh, it's because his dad bought the team. No, if you look at race results, it's actually not that bad if we go into the numbers. Another critique people have is the Monza Formula 3 crash where he pretty much backflipped the car and the car pretty much done like 4 or 5 rolls and, you know, that happened. And my argument to that is, he's a junior driver, he's under the age of 18 years, and mistakes happen as a junior, okay? Daniel Ricciardo flipped his car at Silverstone when he was racing there in a junior category. There's multiple incidents where these junior drivers have crashed their car. Now, it is what it is. There was another incident in Spa where he was assumed to run out a couple of drivers, but you got to understand, if you go back on every single driver's career, there's been incidents that are absolutely crazy. So we're not going to talk about Marcus Ericsson flipping his car in Formula One at Sauber. That's an example. So Lance Stroll was under the age of 18. He was racing in a junior category, learning the ropes, and of course became champion in that category. But yeah, he flipped the car. Okay, this is what happens. Some shit like that happened, I guess, in lower categories of motorsport. He's not the first driver to do it. He's not the last driver to do it. It's part of the, I guess, it's part of his career. Now, another critique he's got is that Lawrence Stroll invested in Williams to get him the seat. Now, let's go back and look at Williams. Now, Williams, back in 2016, was a struggling team. They were in a lot of financial issues and needed the money. Now, you got to remember something. Other drivers have major sponsors backing them up. Do they have more money than Lawrence Stroll? Possibly not, but people like Sergio Perez, some of your favorites, Sergio Perez, people like Logan Sargent, Zhou, these type of drivers have had financial backing entering the sport. Even Yuki Tsunoda, Honda tires. Was Yuki good enough to join Formula One? Personally, his Formula 2 career wasn't that great. Yes, he's performing now. It's been a great gamble. The first couple of years were disappointing, but now in 2024, yes, it's paying off. But what I will say is that Lawrence had the money to fill the void in Williams. They needed the cash, and they signed a junior driver who, of course, had a career. They're not going to take anybody off the street, mate. Even if they had 100 million, whatever it is, $1 billion. No, you have to have backing in junior categories to prove you are good enough for Formula One. And we'll go through it very soon. But Lance Stroll did have that pedigree to join the sport at a young age and was good enough to join. Listen, could he have waited a couple of years and then joined the sport? Yeah, of course, but the opportunity was there. In Formula One, there is only 20 drivers on the grid. When the opportunity sees itself, why not go for it? So, at the end of the day, what are you going to do? Criticize the guy? Like I said, other drivers are paid drivers technically with sponsors behind them, paying them money, sponsoring a team. So, the argument doesn't exist there. The argument does not exist when other drivers are pretty much paid drivers as well. Latifi, another example, his dad's a billionaire. Now, people don't like Lance because he's been in the sport for so long. Latifi needed to go. Lance, if you look at his career so far, it's been pretty decent. Listen, I'm going to be on the record here. Is Lance good enough to become world champion? Listen, never say never in Formula One. You don't know what car they're going to get, but it's going to be very difficult for Lance to become world champion. It is for any driver. There's only a handful of drivers that become world champions, but nothing is impossible. The critique that Stroll gets is that his dad bought Force India and made it Racing Point. Now, first of all, Lawrence Stroll is a businessman, and he found a business opportunity buying the team, and people say he bought it for his son. Yeah, there is potential for that. Okay, there is an idea that maybe he bought it for Lance, like in the sense of, giving him a seat in Formula One. We don't know what Williams were going to do. We had George Russell coming up. Obviously, Robert Kubica was coming back into the sport. But at the end of the day, Lance's junior numbers at Williams weren't that bad for him to actually leave. But obviously, Lawrence Stroll, being the businessman he is, saw the opportunity, bought the team. And no one likes to talk about the fact that he saved hundreds of jobs buying that Force India team, that team that was about to go to nothing. People were going to lose their jobs. They got mortgages to pay. People don't understand that. So he actually did a massive favor by actually investing in a team and saved multiple jobs. And of course, created Racing Point, which obviously turned into Aston Martin. Racing Point in 2020 were a really solid team as well. Also, I will say Lance Stroll has a teammate every single time. So yeah, he bought it for Lance, but these teams aren't just looking for a second crappy driver in Formula One. They got massive talent. An example, Lawrence has signed Sergio Perez, who's, listen, competing with Max Verstappen, but he's number 2 to him. Yes. And of course, a 2-time world champion, Fernando Alonso. Now, a YouTuber, I can't remember his name, but he's pretty popular, I guess, but he's done a montage of like Lance Stroll crashing and talking shit. People just talk shit on YouTube straight out about Lance Stroll because they want views. Okay, it's simple as that. I don't even know if you watch the sport. I don't even know what the heck's going on, but you guys pretty much talk shit. I feel like you don't have an idea of what's going on. It's more like, what are people saying on social media? What are people saying online? And okay, let's make a video on that. Like, okay, I'm about to debunk all y'all, okay? All of you. Also, people do like to say, oh, Lance had the older teammate in Formula 3. He wasn't able to win the championship and he did beat him on points. And was it strategic? I don't know, from the Stroll family. At the end of the day, if they have the financial backing to do it, like, why not, right? But at the end of the day, Lance did beat drivers like George Russell, Giovinazzi, Esteban Ocon, Charles Leclerc. So, at the end of the day, Stroll did beat them in junior categories. What do you want to say about that? What do you want to say about that? And at the end of the day, the numbers don't lie. He became Formula 3 champion. And let's look at Lance Stroll's teammates. Fernando Alonso, 2-time world champion, speaks for itself. Sebastian Vettel, a 4-time world champion, speaks for itself. Felipe Massa, Michael Schumacher, regarded him as a potential future world champion, lost at the championship by 1 point in Brazil. Sergei Sorokin, listen, average driver. I feel like, did he deserve another seat in Formula 1? It's pretty debatable, but he was more of the easier side. And of course, Sergio Perez, who is now competing with the best of the best, Max Verstappen, probably the top 5 best Formula 1 driver of all time. Another thing I saw in my comment section was people were comparing Lance Stroll to Lando Norris, for example, or Charles Leclerc. Okay, listen, if you compare Charles' rookie season to Lance's rookie season, Lance actually outperformed Charles, okay? Then the day Lance got a podium his rookie season. Now, Lando Norris, on the other hand, had a McLaren. He had a freaking McLaren, not a Williams. Now, everyone knows Williams wasn't that good. We're going to get into the numbers very shortly. But Lance's rookie career compared to other rookie careers was very decent. Very highly up there. So, counter argument to compare it to someone like, oh, Lando Norris. Yeah, Lando could be a future world champion. Very likely. Do I think Lando's probably better than Lance? Potentially, yes. But at the end of the day, you got people comparing Lance to Fernando Alonso, who's one of the greatest of all time in Formula 1. So, yeah, you want to compare him to that? Okay, fair enough. Do what you got to do. It's like comparing him to Michael Schumacher. It's never going to happen, right? You can't compare the two. But is he doing bad enough in Formula 1 to leave the sport? No. Let's look at his karting stats. So in 2008, he won 3 championships in karting. including the Canadian National Championship. So he was a 3-time champion in 2008. He would have been about 9 or 10 years old. And then 2009, he had 2 first places, a second in the National Championships, a second in the Florida Winter Tour. So 6 championships, making the top 2 in karting, which is very, very impressive. In 2010, he came first in the Florida Winter Tour, which he came second a couple of years prior. Second and first in 2 other karting competitions. 2011, he did compete in 10 different championships and finished third in one of them. In 2012, he finished second in KF3 and finished first in the Super Nationals once again. And Lance Stroll won 8 championships in his go-karting career at a super high level, at Canadian super international level, championships in America. So his karting record speaks for itself. He did become a Ferrari junior category driver, and to become a Ferrari junior development or a Ferrari academy driver, you need to be some sort of talent, not just pick any sort of random person off the street. So yeah, good enough to become a Ferrari junior. So let's look at his open wheel racing. In 2014, he made his debut. He had 18 races in the Italian F4 with Prema, of course, the best team. Now, everyone likes to say, oh, you know, his dad bought part half the team or whatever, invested in the team. Even if he did, Lance has a bunch of drivers he has to compete with. It's not about, oh, it's just him on the track and he's champion and no one else he's not fighting anyone else for championship points. He's got his teammate, he's got multiple other drivers. Like, at the end of the day, was it strategic to bring someone older in his open wheel career? Yeah, possibly. But at the end of the day, he has beaten big names in his junior career and deserved to be a big crown champion. 2014, the Italian F4 Championship, he had 18 races, 7 wins, 5 pole positions, and 13 podiums. Finished, of course, P1. In 2015, he won the Toyota Racing Series, finishing P1 with 16 races, 4 wins and 10 podiums. So the podiums are really, really consistent. And of course, in 2016, in Formula 3, he had 30 races, 14 pole positions, 14 wins, and 20 podiums. Of course, clinching P1. His junior career is absolutely outstanding, winning multiple championships throughout multiple categories. Everyone likes to look at that one category where, oh, he had the older driver. He won the Toyota Racing Series against high-class drivers. So there is no debating that at all. And then, of course, I guess everything fell aligned for him and he signed for Williams in 2017. Now, if you're really, really shit as a Formula 1 driver, you're going to be kicked out in Season 1. So, in 2017 was his rookie season. And an argument every single one of yous have. Oh, Lance DNF the first 3 races. Let's go through the first 3 races of 2017 because you guys love to say that on all your YouTube videos. Ready? OzGP, lap 40. He had a brake issue. Not his fault. In China, he had a collision on the opening lap. It was wet. It was a wet start and wasn't his fault. He was tagged at the back and was spun around by a Force India driver. Not exactly sure which driver it was, but he was spun. Go look at the season highlights of the Chinese Grand Prix 2017. You'll see those 2 weren't Lance's fault. So Australia, brake issue. China got hit on the opening lap. And in Bahrain, Stroll was taken out by Carlos Sainz, who exited the pits. Listen, at the end of the day, do I think it was Carlos's fault or Stroll's fault? I'm going to say Carlos, to be honest with you. Not because I'm making this video, I promise you. If you look at the footage, I do believe it was more Carlos's fault. Stroll could have given him a bit more room, but if you look at the footage, I think Carlos drove into Lance on that occasion. The top 3 races, those first 3 races, oh, he DNF'd in the first 3 races that everybody says debunked it. Wasn't even his fault, 3 of them. So the argument is, yeah, just cancelled out pretty much. Then, of course, he did get points in Canada, which was his home Grand Prix. And Felipe Massa, which was his teammate, highly experienced. Was Felipe Massa in his prime? No, but he was highly experienced. Only outscored Lance Stroll 2 times out of the whole season throughout that rookie season of Lance Stroll. And of course, he had his maiden podium in Azerbaijan, getting that 3rd place, which was absolutely amazing as a rookie to get a podium in your first season in Formula 1. With the Williams, that wasn't that impressive, to be honest with you. And after Azerbaijan, he scored in 5 races after points for that rest of the season. Listen, Felipe Massa did beat him. Felipe Massa got 43 points, who was much more experienced to a rookie Lance Stroll, who ended up with 40 points. Only 3 points away from Felipe Massa. Pretty impressive start to his Formula 1 career. Also, honorable mention, he did have a P2 in those wet conditions in Monza. Qualifying absolutely unbelievable, and everyone knows that Lance in the wet is actually super talented, has a really good grip, a really good sense of what is going on throughout wet conditions and qualifying. So that P2 put him on the front row in his rookie season as well in 2017 Monza. If you look at 2017, Williams was an average team, and Felipe Massa was a super hard, I guess, teammate to put yourself against, who was highly experienced compared to the rookie and youngster of Lance Stroll, who was only 18 years of age. 2018, his teammate was Sergei Sorokin, who of course, wasn't the best driver compared to Felipe Massa or Fernando Alonso, right? But what I will say is that Lance did beat him throughout the season, and that Williams was absolutely terrible in 2018. To get points was absolutely gold. And Lance actually managed to get points 2 times throughout that season. His teammate only got a 10th place once throughout the whole season, so Lance did beat Sorokin, but like I said, that car in 2018, the Williams was a back-running, back-marker car, and of course, the opportunity came for Lawrence to buy the Force India team, which obviously was a midfield car, to put his son in a better car. And of course sign Sergio Perez and continue the relationship between Force India, Racing Point and Sergio. So of course, Lawrence Stroll invested in the team. Like I said before, he saved lots of jobs and it was a business opportunity for Lawrence to do so. He loves motor racing and put his foot in the door of Formula One. So everyone's saying, oh, he bought the team. Like, yeah. And like, he has the opportunity to do it. So he did it. One thing to note, Williams in 2019 finished last place. That's how the trajectory. That's how you can prove the trajectory from 2018 and 2019, how bad the car was. So for Lance to score twice in 2018 is very, very impressive considering that Williams was the slowest team in 2019. Now, like Perez, who was highly more experienced, who was in his 9th season where Lance was in his 3rd season, did score 10 times throughout that season where Lance scored half of that, which was 5. Now, argument there will be Perez. Listen, Perez beat him, yes, fair on paper, but I will say it was Perez's 9th season where it's Lance's 3rd season in I guess a better car than Williams, getting up to terms, getting up what the heck, what's going on. And yeah, so I guess Perez beat him fair and square. Yes, that happened. For his 3rd season to finish 5 times in the points with a car that I guess is a midfield car. Not a bad result from Lance. It's not kick him out of Formula 1 worthy. It's not a bad result at all. He's still getting points for the team. Of course, went to 2020 where they had the pink Mercedes. Everyone has the pink Mercedes argument. Oh, it's illegal. No, it was deemed legal by the FIA throughout that season. The car was not illegal. It did look like Mercedes back in 2019, yes. Was the car quick? Yes, but there is no argument to what people are saying. It was deemed legal by the FIA. Simple as that. Thank you. Page closed, chapter closed. There's nothing else to say about that. It was the best season for Stroll and one of the best seasons for Sergio Perez. Perez obviously winning in Sakhir, coming from the back, which I will say was an absolutely awesome drive from Perez. You cannot take nothing away from him. But Perez did finish 11 times in the points and Lance Stroll only finished 8 times in the points. Lance Stroll actually had more podiums than Sergio Perez, getting a P3 in Italy and getting a P3 in Sakhir as well. So yeah, okay, Perez did win the Sakhir Grand Prix. Was on the podium with him in P3 where he had to be as a teammate as well. So listen, 2 podiums in 2020. What do you want to take that away from him? And then also he had the pole position in Turkey. Now there's drivers like Nico Hulkenberg. People say, oh, he's better than Lance. Okay, I have to disagree. Look at the numbers, buddy. Hulkenberg has a pole position, yes, but no podiums. Like, look at the numbers. All those years in Formula 1 compared to Lance. Compared to Lance Stroll, all those years compared to Lance, no podiums. And Lance has never had the quickest car either. Yeah, the 2020 Racing Point was decent car, yes. Well, probably the 2nd quickest, dropped to like 4th quickest, I reckon. Maximizer, they got a P3 in Italy, they got a P3 in Sakhir, and of course he got a pole in Turkey as well. And was pretty unlucky not to win the Turkish Grand Prix. Obviously, we know what happened there. Lewis Hamilton won and became 7-time Formula 1 World Champion. So his 2020 season was absolutely exceptional. Can't take nothing away from Lance Stroll there. In 2021, wasn't a bad season again for Lance. Now, this time he had Sebastian Vettel, had the merger with Aston Martin and all that. So, listen, he had a 4-time World Champion who was at the end of his career, yes, I will admit. But Vettel was still very, very quick. P13 and Vettel finished P12 at the end of the season. He was only behind him. So, pretty much where the car was supposed to be, that's where they both finished. Yeah, Vettel beat him, but Vettel's a 4-time world champion. That's what argument I'll put on that. Lance finished in the points 9 times throughout that 2021 season. Actually, more than Sebastian Vettel. Vettel did finish 7 times in the points, but he did get a P2. He got a P2 in that season, which really bumped up his point scoring. So Sebastian Vettel ended up finishing the season with 43 points and Stroll with 34 points, even though Lance did actually beat him in the sense of finishing in the points more times consecutively throughout that Formula 1 2021 season. 2022 for Lance wasn't the greatest season of all, but it wasn't too bad. There was probably slight improvement that needed to happen, but at the end of the day, Vettel did miss the first 2 races, and Vettel came back pretty strong after that. Lance did finish P15, Vettel finished P12. He did finish in the points 8 times, Lance, Vettel 10 times. But like I said, Vettel did miss out on 2 races. This one, I have to admit, was not Lance Stroll's best season in Formula 1. Listen, it's one of those seasons where did he deserve to leave the sport? Probably not. Like, he did finish it did finish pretty consecutively compared to Vettel in the points 8 to 10, but would have liked to see him up into P11 or P13 or something, just around Sebastian Vettel's mark. I will admit the 2022 season was a very, very, very average for Lance. And 2023, I have to admit as well, was very, very difficult for Lance. Now, 2023... I do agree that that was a very bad season for Lance Stroll. He couldn't get the terms with the car, couldn't get to grips with him. Now, Alonso has said that Lance is such a great driver and really highly praised him. But what I'll say is that 2023, there wasn't potential for Lance to be kicked out of Formula 1. Now, it wasn't the best season. He needs to have a really good 2024, and so far he's been doing pretty decent. Yeah, he's had a crash in Saudi Arabia, but he has out-qualified Alonso the last couple of times from the time of this recording. Right now, at this recording, we're about to hit the Monaco Grand Prix. But in 2023, Alonso obviously is a 2-time world champion, one of the best ever to drive a Formula 1 car. And of course, like I said, it was a very average season for Lance Stroll. Stroll finished 12 times in the points, and of course, Alonso had 8 podiums. So Alonso really outclassed Lance Stroll in 2023, which is hard for me to admit doing a debunking video, but it's true. That's the numbers. The numbers don't lie. So Lance did have a really bad 2023, and to make up for 2023, was it bad enough for him to be kicked out? Potentially, but he needs to step it up in 2024 this year and really just show why he deserves a seat and continue in Formula 1. So he needs to have a good 2024 to prove 2023 wasn't that bad. And of course, it was a write-off season for him, wasn't that great at all. But there's been multiple drivers that have shit seasons and still, continue staying in the sport. So that one crappy season, I will say, that was very bad. Benefit of the doubt, move on to next season, see what happens. Of course, he did have that really good race in Bahrain, obviously breaking his wrist and coming back and obviously getting points. So that was really high credit from Lance Stroll. But after that, it sort of went downhill from there and really struggled with the car. So yeah, 2023 write-off season wasn't that great. And Stroll didn't maximize the car, yes, in 2023. But it's 2024 now, so let's see what Lance can do. That's me pretty much debunking everyone's pretty much opinion on why they hate Lance Stroll, right? That's all the comments I can sort of read. People just hate to just don't like him, just to hate, right? Like they just do it like because everyone's commenting no Stroll, no. And to be honest, I met Lance Stroll, and when I first met him, he was great. Now we like his sort of a hard signature to get because I feel like he just feels like, you know what? Why am I going to sign for people when they're just like, I guess, gronks to me in like a comment section? He doesn't even read. I feel like he doesn't even read his Instagram, to be honest. But anyway, let's see what he can do in 2024. That's me debunking all the freaking hates because I'm not gonna lie, you guys are doing it for clicks. I get it, whatever. You gotta do what you gotta do. But yeah, it's fucking, you're being debunked, bro. Like all your arguments are wrong. Anyway, guys, that's me debunking all the Lance Stroll hate. If you guys did like the video, make sure you, before you guys hate this video, make sure you give it a listen, okay? Like properly listen to it instead of just disliking because it's Lance Stroll, okay? Actually give it a listen and yeah, go from there and then make your own opinion. But that's me debunking the Lance Stroll hate. Thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys did enjoy. Like the video. Comment down below your opinion on Lance Stroll now and before. Probably going to be like trolls like, it's the same. Anyway, subscribe to the channel. I'll see you guys in the next Formula 1 video. Thank you.